This is as close as you're going to ever get to being in a band, I think, just doing your gyration.
What's that? I'd be a great front man. Are you kidding me?
You would if you had any talent.
Except for I'd also be known as the drummer's eclipse.
Right.
That would be no good.
It would be bad. But here we are again.
Here we are, season 1, episode 1.
That's right.
Test drive went well enough. They invited us to go ahead and take it off the lot and run it around for a while. So here we are. Gamble and Finn, the reality check, larger than live here at House Gamble on the back 40 as promised on our new set.
There he is, the frog.
That's great. There was no lawnmower this week, but the frog show.
Frog, right.
He hasn't made a goddamn noise.
I talked to the guy.
sat down.
I talked to the guy across the way. Well, he's irritated. He knows we're on. He really doesn't want to listen to us for the next 50 or so minutes, but actually he probably does.
No,
yes.
my.
But here we are again. Another nice night because the rest of the week doesn't look so nice.
Doesn't look so good, no.
Treating us well on Monday evenings.
Well, we got ourselves a new set. We've got all kinds of folks in the studio audience. The frog up there, the birds back here, these guys back here, these guys here, and of course you guys at home. And we got a lot to get to. We'll get to. We got a new feature that we're going to unveil tonight. Gamble and Finn Show and Tell.
Correct.
Which is going to be fun. It's going to be something out of each of our personal archives that we're going to show off a little bit. And we invite you to play along if you have something you want to post on Facebook. Obviously, you have found us, but feel free to like and share us. And, yes, show us something cool that you've got in your memorabilia stash, if you will. And let's see, what else? Oh, you know what? We're going to talk about some family members, new and old. We have a little bit of the current event that we don't want to even say the name because honestly it really is sort of annoying to continue to hear about it, but we're going to get to that. I got a sports question for you that I want to get into, and we may even wrap up with some phobias that we have because I ran into a couple that I thought that caught me off guard this week. And with all of this, I know you're a germaphobe. I know that can dovetail right into some other
well
phobias.
Before any of this started.
Yes, absolutely.
I got a couple good questions for you as well.
All right, well, I'd like to start with my trip over here. Okay, no one's on the roads. No one is supposed to be on the roads. No one going anywhere.
Yeah, they are.
So I give myself plenty of time to come over, get here to set everything up. Our executive producer, Best Boy Key Grip, craft services, everything. Lori is here. She's getting everything set up. I thought I'll get there early and help. I got in the only traffic jam for 3,000 miles from here, just south of Turfway. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Well, they've got everything torn up for road construction, but nobody's doing anything. This would be the perfect time to get all the road construction done. Why isn't it being done now? I don't know. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but this would, when no one's out, wouldn't this be the time to do it?
Now, they normally, I will tell you, they normally are in that section of I-75 there, but they do it overnight. So maybe they're, which I have no issue with.
You have all day now, too, with no one out there.
Well, but there are people out there now because they're not staying at home any longer. We'll get to that, but I'm with you. If you're going to do the road construction, do it when not as many people are on the road, and that would be now.
Seems like it'd be a perfect time.
All right, but you wound up getting off.
Well, I got off, and then I got onto Route 18, and it opened up. Everything was fine coming out this way. And I'm driving, and this car, just for no reason, just pulls completely over into the emergency lane. I'm thinking they don't have a flat tire. I don't see hazard lights, nothing. And I'm sitting at a stoplight, and as I approach, the driver gets out, and it's a car full of people, gets out, and I'm thinking, I wonder what's going on there. And you've heard of the Hillside Strangler.
Yes.
This guy was just the roadside puker.
Oh, he was puking?
Yeah, he just got out.
The driver?
He got out, walked to the back of the car, shoved his fingers down his throat, and then just threw up all over the side of the car.
Of course
I was
he did.
sitting there watching him. I was on the phone with you. I'm like, I can't believe what I'm looking at. It must have really been bad to get it out of him. But that was how we set the table for tonight's show. So I'm very excited.
Have you ever done that?
Gotten out of the car to puke?
Yeah.
I don't think I've had to pull the car over. No, because I always try to puke before I go out.
Well, that's a good thought.
Or
on that note,
now
wait, but you've got big news though.
I do.
You added someone to your household.
I did. Maybe you saw it. I posted it on my Finn Rock page, but I added a little black lab beagle mix from the folks at LFAW, League for Animal Welfare.
All right.
They found a dog. I had been looking for a certain kind of dog, and they found one. They said he went out. It didn't work out where he was. They brought him back. They said, are you still interested? We went out Friday, came home with now Calvin. We got a new guy in the house named Calvin. Excited to have him. Completely forgot what it was like to have a puppy. My world is
quickly you were reminded.
completely
right?
upside down,
Yeah.
but I couldn't be happier.
Now wait,
he's awesome.
So when you get a dog 9 months, correct?
9.5 months.
And,
yeah.
and typically they obviously have a name. So his given name prior was Alvin.
Was
so
Alvin.
You added the C,
Which is
correct?
funny because I
Okay.
always wanted to get a dog and name him Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes. But when I saw that his name was already Alvin, and they said, he doesn't really know his name, but,
What is he, dumb?
well, I don't think that he had been there long enough to learn it. That's just the name they assigned to him.
They assigned
Yeah,
it.
so
Okay,
they know who
gotcha.
you're talking about when you're picking them on the website.
Understood.
So I just put a C in front of it, calling him Calvin, and he's ignoring me just as good with the new name as he did with
Right.
the old name. It's perfect.
So far so good. You've only had him for what? A few days?
I've got him
Right, since
Friday
Okay.
afternoon, so we've
All
had
right.
him through the weekend, and it's awesome. I mean, I will tell you this: I lost my other dog about a year ago, almost to the day, and
And I can't believe, by the way, it's been that
Been a
long.
year.
It
It's
seemed
crazy.
like 4 or 5 months.
yeah, but to have that other heartbeat in the house is key. And I posted a picture of him sitting out, just kind of surveying, his new domain, and a lot of great response. Thanks to everybody that hit like and whatnot. But I think it's going to be great. And they said, "Are you ready for this commitment for the next 14 or 15 years?" I said, "From your lips to God's ears, I would love to have him for 15 years." And he's my little buddy. I should have named him Velcro because he is right there next to me everywhere I go. So.
And they're so lazy. He's already found the ottoman, right? I love how they sleep all night, get up for a little bit, then have to take another nap. They have the life that we really, truly want.
Yeah, they have the life that I'm
Right?
really trying. And if I sit back in this chair, I'll probably nod off. That's why
Well,
I'm
we are
sitting forward.
in the Gamble family. Of course, we have myself, Lori, and 3 boys, and they've kind of been on me and on us to get a dog. So we had both when we got married. Lori had a dog, and I had a dog, and we're getting one. And Keishon, that's the proper pronunciation. Keishon,
It's not a Keyshawn Johnson.
It's essentially not Keishon
Keyshawn Johnson.
It's essentially I call it a husky without the blue eyes. Is essentially
Oh,
what
okay.
it is.
All right.
So we had to go to Tennessee, believe it or not, southern Tennessee, to find a breeder. And the next litter is at the end of May, so then you keep it for 8 weeks, and then we will pick up the Fidge.
Oh,
That'll
Fidge
be,
is going to be the name.
Fidge is going to be the name.
And then, is that a family name? Is
No.
Fidge a name
Fidge
that
is
goes
a-
deep down into the Gamble
Fidge
family
means
tree?
Fidge is a fictitious character that I made up some time ago that has no bearing on anything. So we'll
Is that
call
the
it
name of a person, a
Future,
dog?
We'll call it Future Fidge. How about that? Future Fidge.
All right, fair enough. And for anybody, before we get to one other family, bit
And
of
I
family.
can't believe we're doing this.
Family business.
Because so yours is semi-trained though, in terms of housebroken, right?
Yeah, I think well enough that he'll sleep 6 or 7 hours and then knows to go
Well,
out
as you
and do
well
his
know,
thing.
when you get 8 weeks, 9 weeks.
No, you're screwed.
God.
I'm making out like a bandit, which is why I wore this.
I see that. It looks tremendous.
Yeah.
I got to put up another section of fence. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
well,
just
for
so
everybody that
much.
was worried about you coughing, it's allergy related.
It's totally allergy
But if you do
related.
cough, I'm ready.
You're good. Well, first of all, if I cough here and I hit you over there, because we're practicing more than social distance.
Yeah, we're further away
You're
than
fine.
we were last week on
And,
the other
and
side.
honestly, I'm almost to the point where I can't watch television anymore.
Absolutely.
Even now, the ads have just worn me down.
That's all it is.
And I get it. I'm not taking it seriously. It's just that's all you hear about. Now, you mentioned, my mom. So one thing, we're on Thursday nights on 700 WLW. It's the Reality Check, 9 to midnight. We had a great show last Thursday. We have to tell, if you missed our latter part of
The
our
last
show
call.
last week, it had a classic little ending with our last call with George Vogel, sports director of News 5. We'll tell that momentarily. But, so my mom, at least we always know on Thursday nights we have one listener, and that's my mom.
Right.
So, and she listens from start to finish, and she pretty much has LW on all day. So she heard us talking last Thursday night about how we were doing this. So she calls me. My mom is 88, turned 88 last month. She called and she said, now, how do I get what you're doing on Monday?
I've been
Yeah.
asking the same question.
Right.
I don't get it.
And I had this thought of like, so how truthful do I be?
Right.
Because we've purchased a computer for them. No. They have a bag phone that honestly, well, for emergency purposes, that honest to God has
what?
probably been dead for 4
I was just gonna
years.
say, don't those
Right.
have to be charged?
But yes, they do.
A
So,
bag phone?
Half the time we bought them cordless phones, right?
Right.
Majority of time we call, they're dead. They don't answer. When they get on it, my mom will go, this phone, put it back down. Let me get on the landline. Okay.
landline.
So I said, when you're the son and I'm an only child, I'm like, what do I say? So I'm like, Mom, I'm just gonna be brutally honest with you. You can't. I mean, Monday.
can't see it.
I mean, I'll tape it maybe for you, bring you the audio. But I mean, think about it. You either have to have a phone that has internet access. I didn't dare want to say Wi-Fi, or a computer where you can get in. So I said, "Hey, Mom, you ever heard of Facebook?" And we just left
Just
it there.
dead side crickets.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I feel bad because she likes to listen and normally picks up things about me and us that she doesn't know. But I mean, there's just no way. And I could see her going into my dad, probably going, "Harry," that's his name.
Yeah.
It's Harry and Joy. It's one of those like, Facebook, and he'd be like, "What?"
Oh, dude,
I would pay to hear that conversation.
It is.
I
It's
would.
really. I'll give my mom credit. She's a little younger. I think she'll be 80 this year. But I have FaceTimed with her forehead more times than I care.
But
than
that's
I care
impressive,
to remember.
though, right?
Yeah, she can do it once.
Okay.
You have to let the FaceTime thing ring till it disconnects once, and then you have to call back so she can figure out what that noise is.
Sure.
And then the next thing is where her phone is,
Hey.
and then how to pick it up. And then all I see is her forehead because she thinks she doesn't realize that that's all I'm seeing.
Hey, by the way, it's time to reset, as they say in the business.
Yeah.
It's Gamble and Finn. It's the reality check, larger than live, season 1, episode 1 this evening. It's every Monday night, 7 o'clock. We do our Thursday gig on 700 WLW. He's a little bit more, shall we say, show that. Right?
Yeah. You're not getting your advertising for free here,
Well-
pal, even though you know this is a Mountain Dew.
So I'm hoping that with the Diet Mountain Dew here, a little shorter can, I'm hoping a little product placement might kind of, I don't know, be a catalyst to somebody. But we do have advertising, sponsorship opportunities. We need food. We like beverage.
Yeah.
And don't forget, tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. So
That's
I mean,
right. It's currently Quattro de Mayo.
Quattro,
we
thank
always
you.
open
Yes.
our gifts on Cinco de Mayo Eve, so I'm excited about that a little bit later on. But yeah,
Right.
I think about that. The irony of it, and I think I posted this the other day, it was Rod Serling standing there, and he said, imagine, if you will, a world where Cinco de Mayo falls on Taco Tuesday and is canceled because of a Mexican a virus named after a Mexican beer.
Right,
So
right.
it's the new world in which we live. Hopefully it's not the new world in which we will completely...
It's not going to be. This is not
have
the
to
new
live.
normal. It's the temporary normal until we ultimately get back to what is normal.
But you know what's crazy?
Yes.
We keep talking about what is going to be, at least in the near term,
Yeah.
the new normal. You'll watch the 2 o'clock thing, which I haven't watched since we watched it last week with the governor and Dr. Acton. But they don't even know. I mean, at the last minute, at the end of April, to immediately then extend that Stay Safe Ohio order to the end of May at the very last minute, that sounds to me like a lot of CYA.
Overnight.
Yeah, it was just,
Right.
it was in the middle of the night. But the flip-flopping has been pretty destructive with regard to plans. Like I told you, my
Right.
daughter's a senior. We're trying to plan her graduation. It was on, then it was off, but here's the contingency
Right.
plan. Well, now this secondary plan is back, and now it's off again. It's all up in the air. But I think that's what people are getting frustrated with. You know, if you just want to shut it down to a certain day, and quit making
Well-
people get false hope.
But the problem is, as Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio and Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, they're now being lauded nationally as being kind of on the forefront of this and
forefront,
being
yeah.
proactive, et cetera. And as you well know with politicians, as soon as you start to get that, they're not going to back off,
No.
right, wrong, or indifferent.
It'll be status quo.
Well, but I think most colleges now, I know, one of our nieces, our only niece, had a virtual graduation. She's the oldest niece, and she's from Ohio State University. That's what's happening. I mean, it's, another nephew had a drive-by birthday party. He turned 21, and that you do what you have to do based on the time.
And if you're an administrator to school, clearly you've never had to deal with anything like this. You mentioned to
No
me
question.
what St. X was doing something cool as a tribute to their seniors.
Yeah.
They took individual photos
photos
of each
and
of the
put them in
seniors.
chairs, and everybody's trying to do something
In the
different.
chapel.
And if you missed it last Thursday night, we talked about essentially kind of the future of what this means for not only in the fall for high school students, but what about college students? You have many Finn will be planning on going away to college, and I talked to some college administrators that are anticipating that if there is no in-class learning, there'll be a 20 to 25% decrease in enrollment. That is a significant hit because that budget, absolutely. And there's going to be the trickle down. And I think we're going to see, and I don't have any intel here, but I've talked to enough people, I think we're going to see some sort of a hybrid, some sort of a blended learning. I've heard everything, even at the high school level, where they would go 4 days a week, where you go, certain group would go Monday, Wednesday, the other group would go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday might be off. I think they're looking at that same stuff in college or starting off remotely the first half of the semester, then going to more classroom. Bottom line is, nobody's ever experienced this. Nobody really knows, and literally, they're trying to think. There are so many meetings about contingency plans.
Right.
That's all people are
Well,
doing.
and again, I think people just want to know. Even I was talking with Frank for American Cornhole. No events this month now, so
Right.
now it's what are we going to do about June? World Championships come up
Yeah.
at the end of July. At some point, do you quit giving people hope that this may happen and just go, no, this is at least
That's a
the cutoff?
legitimate question.
Because if you're like me and you've got an child who's going to be a freshman in college next year, I just made tuition payment number one the other day, Fred, and I know it's going to take 3 months for them to kind of settle it out and
How do you
sift it
feel?
out. Huh?
How do you feel?
I can barely sit down, I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's going to take about 3 months to sift out. And then what? Is it going to go up, as it typically
Right.
does after those
Well,
first
you're
3 months?
right.
Or is it going to go down because she doesn't have her orientation all online? She's not going to the
Yeah.
campus for orientation. So the expenses, in theory, would be lower. I know that's a pipe dream because I'm sure we're never
Well,
going to see it go down.
And I can tell you, private schools are, I've talked to a couple administrators for private schools too, and they're also starting to say, as you look at the unemployment numbers and people who aren't making the types of money that they once were, now all of a sudden you're asking at a high school level and even younger to pay, whatever it is, $7,500 to $15,000, depending on school,
Yeah.
for just tuition at that age, at
Yeah.
that level.
Well,
it's going to be tough.
You just mentioned something I want to get back to, the job market, but I want to reset real quick. Gamble and Finn, it is the reality check larger than live here on Facebook Live every Monday, 7 o'clock. We may scout out different areas here in this fantastic back 40 here at House Gamble. But and if it rains, we have a contingency plan.
we do.
Speaking of contingency plans,
And each week you'll get a chance to see more foliage,
Yes.
assuming it doesn't go down to 26 damn degrees this Friday night,
and
things
kill
aren't
all of your hard work.
frost and kill, right?
And we may
Jeez.
actually, if it gets down, we may actually have a fire
Yeah, that'd be cool.
here in this fire pit, although that may be added digitally later. Not exactly sure.
We'd probably start ourselves
Maybe
ablaze.
add it in post. Now, I neglected to tell you
Uh-oh.
something that arose from last week's show.
Okay.
And I didn't realize this, but apparently there were a few little ticks that we each have. And remember I made mention of the fact that I didn't
You were
realize
touching your face.
how much I was touching my hat, and my face.
You got to remember, we're radio guys, really.
Right.
We're,
We're not
used to
used
the
to
audio
seeing.
medium, not used to visual.
Seeing this,
As
but
you can see why.
our friend Lisa
Yeah.
hopped on and sent me a note and said, hey, what if I develop a drinking game around the show?
Okay.
And I said, okay, but here's the key to it. We can't know what the cues are.
Right, because then we might lean one way or the other.
Right, like
Sure.
she said, well, what about like every time you touch your face, you take a drink? I said, well, you'll be shit-faced in the first 7
Right,
minutes
right, yeah,
because
that
I didn't
would be-
realize how much I was doing that. But if you're playing along and you want to start that drinking game, you go right ahead. We'll watch the replay and we'll find out how well we did
Right.
at either avoiding
Well,
or prompting the cues.
And maybe what needs to happen is then somebody needs to change it from week to week,
to week,
so
right.
we don't follow along. And I think that'd be kind of creative.
I like it. I like
All
the
right.
interactivity. That's what we want to do. If
Sure.
you have any comments or have anything you want to hear us go into, that's the whole point of this. Is we don't take breaks. We don't stop for news, traffic, weather. If you can't tell what the weather is by looking, then nothing we tell you is going to change how dumb you are.
I had one of our guests from Thursday. We had 5 guests, I guess, on last Thursday night, and one of them that I talked to afterwards said, "Man, time went so fast." I go, "Well, no, Chief." I said, "Really, it didn't." I said, "It's you just don't have much time."
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of time, and
Correct.
this is a much better, I think, format for someone like you and I. Now, I want to get back to something you mentioned,
Okay.
the job market.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we talk about you have 3 boys,
Right.
From various ages, from 14 to 21.
14 to 21. 14,
Okay.
19, and 21.
As those guys would get out of school every year, summer jobs. Well, Kings Island is shut down.
Yep.
That was a massive,
No question.
massive opportunity for jobs.
Pools.
Swimming pools,
YMCAs.
lifeguards, pick anything,
Yeah.
fast food, any of those things. Now they're just struggling to keep their management
Right.
structure from having to be furloughed.
Correct.
So where does this glut of available bodies go for job searches? And if you want to comment about something that you figured out for your kids, I'd love to know it, because I'll be honest with you, the only thing I can think of, and this is something that, I know you probably did it and I did it, I cut every grass yard
Oh, I
I
used to
could
do
get
that, yeah.
in my neighborhood. $10, maybe
Yep.
sometime 15. That's how I made my money in the summers. I walked around with that mower and that gas can, and I cut yards. I can't find a kid to cut my grass in my neighborhood. It's like the children of the corn. They would get off the bus, and I'd be behind them. There'd be gaggles of them, but no one walking around going, "Hey, you want me to cut your lawn?" That would be a great opportunity because someone will pay that. So
Well, you think
that's
about
the
it,
only
I mean-
thing I can think of. What else
Well,
can
I mean,
you do?
Because there's no retail.
No.
You mentioned there's no restaurants. There's no, I mean, anything. I umpired. I mean, a lot of officials,
Oh,
in
yeah.
a lot of summer leagues, because they use kids. I mean, a lot of, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. And a lot, when you think about it, that's either spending money or some kids need to contribute that when they're getting ready to go to college or when they're in between semesters of college. It's tough.
That's what Minifin is doing. She was making the masks,
Right.
and she was making
Yep.
very nice masks. She's been sewing since she was 4 years old, and made some nice masks that kind of cup your face and double stitched and the whole thing. And she did that and probably raised, well, it was a pretty good chunk of money from what she's told me that she is putting aside to take to school.
Good for her.
So that's something where she can use that skill set. Now, to that end, how many people either in the current job market or of the newer generation of entrants into the job market are now sitting going, I need something that I don't have to go to an office to do. So whether it's computers or online security, what is that next big opportunity where people can say, well, if this happens again, it's not going to kick me in the onion bag.
Something's going to come out of this. I mean, you have to feel along those lines. I'll tell you another thing that I continue to have brought to my attention by people is choosing unemployment once you're on it,
Yeah.
sadly, over your previous job, because you're taking a look at what you're being paid for unemployment comparative to the job, and that's one of those things when you start to get into that.
Well,
That's a bad.
I actually
bad
saw a
problem.
headline today. I didn't read the article, but it said why you should go back to work even if you're making more on unemployment. And I'm going to tell you, if you really can't figure that out,
Oh, you should.
then you're going to be on unemployment for a long, long time
Yeah.
until it runs out, and it will run out.
Correct.
So, while that might be the golden goose in the near term, I think the key to all of this is you've got to think long term. You really do. I filed under some of because I'm a 1099 guy now. I don't have a
Right,
full-time
right.
job. So I'm 1099 with 3 or 4 different you can't call it consulting because I'm not smart enough to be a consultant probably, but I'm doing a lot of different things. So I applied, and under the reason, it wasn't that I was fired or any of that. I just said reduction in hours. Well, I got 6 things from Ohio Job Family Services
yeah.
today saying this is unclear, this is unclear, this is unclear, this is unclear. What does this mean? And they said the deadline to clarify is May 6th. And today is
Act quickly, please.
Today is
Today's
what,
the
May 4th? Yeah, so all
But
that
you know what?
showed up today.
In fairness to them, and you know me, I'm not somebody to really stick up for. But can you imagine?
Oh, my
can you
God,
imagine
no.
being on that end and receiving these and what you're supposed to do with them?
No, and I feel certain it's all auto-generated and it goes out.
It is. But here's why you can't be a consultant. You're too honest.
That's true. Nobody wants to hear the truth.
Well, they don't want to hear the truth. They want to have somebody come up with something that they can blame that person.
Yeah.
Well, we hired the consultant and they told us what to do.
You know what? Maybe that's what we could do.
Yeah.
We could take the con out of consulting,
Right.
and then our logo could be this. What do you think of that? You like that
I
logo?
like that. We've actually discussed that.
We actually
We've discussed if we ever launch all of our businesses, we'll never be able to tend to any of them because we have so many great ideas.
Oh my God, there'll be so many we won't even start on one of them.
Now I'm going to surprise you. What are you
Okay.
doing tonight? What are you watching on TV tonight live at 1:30 a.m.?
Live at 1:30, hopefully the inside of my eyelids.
How about what ESPN has just contracted to show? Do you
What?
know about
I don't
this?
know.
The
1:30 in the
Korean
morning?
Baseball League. I'm not making this up. Former Red Dan Straley is pitching in the Korean Baseball League. No fans.
Really?
They're going to show tonight is opening night day because of the time change.
Okay.
Normally the games will air at 5:30 a.m. I mean,
But
seriously.
people will watch.
Well, if you're starved, you will.
Well, you know what? That leads me to my question for you.
Okay.
And it has to do with sports and TV.
All right.
I mean, ESPN, Fox Sports, every one of them, and the 9 ESPNs, everything else, starved, as you said, for content. People are starved to see any sports. Will you watch a pre-recorded basketball game, football game? Is there any sport that you would watch that maybe this happened 2 years ago?
No.
Really?
Here's what I will
None?
tell you. I will, if I flip it on, like I flipped on like the national championship game, LSU and Clemson. I'll watch for 5 or 7 minutes, but I can't watch
'Cause you know the
anything that I
outcome.
know what happened.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you, I watched, and this parlays into a little promo for a guest on our Thursday show. I did watch Fox Sports Ohio had on the 4-game sweep of the 1990 World Series, wire to wire, the Reds over the Oakland A's, and I did watch bits and pieces of those games, and inclusive of Eric Davis and Billy Hatcher. Both got injured in Game 4, but they
Right.
swept it out in Oakland. And Billy Hatcher will join us on Thursday night to be part of our
The
program.
consummate storyteller. We've been
Who's now a Reds coach. We'll talk to Billy about that season and some of his stories and what he thinks will happen with Major League Baseball. But I just can't. Even if I turn on a game and I don't know the outcome, I know it's already happened. I know that's weird.
okay.
And I can watch like a classic Super Bowl I cannot sit down from start to finish and watch it.
I found 2 exceptions.
Okay.
Okay. One of them, because I switched from
Really?
DirecTV to YouTube TV. And one of the things that I get is a lot of soccer.
Okay.
And it's.
Well, you know me, I won't watch soccer if it's live.
I know you wouldn't watch it if it was happening behind
wouldn't.
us. But I'm watching games, and they're showing the best games.
Sure.
So you're seeing, like I saw a game today that had 8 goals in it. One team went up 1-0, then 2-0, then 2-1, 3-1, and then they were up 3-1, and they lost 5-3. So that, for people who don't like, so this is a good time if you want to try to get into it. It would be a good time to go back and watch some of these Premier League. This is Bundesliga games, and so even if you don't like it, this might be a good time to see what you might like about it. The other one was, it's because I woke up early and needed to go back to sleep.
Axe throwing.
No, it wasn't.
That's
It was
because that's been on, not World Poker Tour.
LPGA golf. Because I would never know the outcome of an LPGA event.
I would watch that.
But I'm telling you, it was on. It was something from 2018. There was some really good shot making. There was some good putting. There's some interesting differences between the LPGA and the PGA that
I can tell you what one of them is.
I can
That's
tell you
why
what,
I would watch
a couple of them. Yeah,
Right.
the pants are a lot different. But
Yes, they are.
I would tell you there was one. Oh, what was her name? Charlie Huff. I don't know what Charlie's Huff. But she was not having any of it. She was
Really?
mad, and you could tell she was kind of like a John Daly. So it was kind of fun to watch her. I did fall asleep, and I woke up an hour and a half later. It was still on. I didn't know the outcome, but I was still watching.
Yeah. Now, I would say I watched the E60s, the 30 for 30s. I do watch that. I haven't watched, I know they promoted the hell out of this Last Dance with the Bulls and Michael. And I know that's gotten a lot of traction. I've never been a huge Michael Jordan fan.
See, I am. So you're a LeBron versus Jordan, like
I'm really-
greatest of all time. Are you Larry Bird or who?
No, I mean Jordan, but I just don't like him as a person.
Yeah, just Jordan.
don't.
Well, I told you my story.
The Last Dance is what you should watch. If you like him, you should watch.
Well, I
this.
liked him as a player, but I'm with you on the person
Oh.
part because
Right.
there was something it was 2004 or 5 maybe when everything went down with his dad when his dad
Oh,
died.
that's exactly correct.
And
Yes.
who was the guy from Sports Illustrated? Rick?
Rick Tillander?
No, it was another guy.
Rick Riley.
Rick Riley, who wrote a book about him, I think. And so I had him on when I worked at 96 Rock in Atlanta. And so I was interviewing him, and it was going on, this, and I said, the last question, and I knew it was going to be the last question. I said, Rick, what would you say to people who have posited the theory that Michael Jordan allowed his dad to be killed to settle his gambling debts?
Which is a kind of a conspiracy theory, right?
Click.
Really
He didn't say a
hung up on
word.
you?
He just hung up on me.
Yeah. Huh.
But I'm not
Well, some of
saying
his,
that is not possibly the case.
some of his gaming escapades, the amount of money, staggering. Now, again,
Yeah.
he had the money to do that. He can do whatever the hell you
All
want
right.
with your
So
money.
on the court,
Yes.
best player ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard.
Well,
yeah,
I know
guess.
it's relative because
It's relative. I mean, I don't know. Bill Russell. I mean, Kareem Abdul. They're just different players. Magic Johnson, LeBron. I mean, there's so many. You could argue. You wouldn't be wrong with an argument of any of them. Honestly.
well, and you're seeing, I think, a lot of because of the Last Dance. You're seeing a lot of commentary about Rodman and Pippen and all those guys talking about how if LeBron had to play against those guys or Lambeer or any of these guys on defense,
Yeah.
he wouldn't be the guy he is because there is no
Maybe.
defense in the NBA today.
Right.
And back then, guys were celebrated for their defense or just being an enforcer. So I think Jordan probably the best player of all time. I think a case could be made for Larry Bird.
I would tend to agree with you. Boy, he's a Billy, isn't he? Man, oh man. Hope you're enjoying the reality check with Gamble and Finn, larger than life, season 1, episode win.
You know what?
I like
It is a
episode
win.
1. Well, now I got one for you here.
Okay.
So sad news today out of the world. The NFL, Don Shula, the legendary Dolphins coach, passed away.
Yeah.
And he will be remembered. He doesn't have to worry about the undefeated season. He will go to his, because that was the big thing always. But did you hear this? The Dolphins, and you're going to love this, and I know you didn't hear this, that's why I'm bringing it up. So there's all this talk about the NBA practice facilities open this Friday. They're talking about Major League Baseball and all this. Have you heard the Dolphins and what they've talked about doing at their stadium?
No.
It holds roughly between 65 and 70,000 people. They're seating it for 15,000. So think about it, 15,000.
Okay.
They're going to have you basically enter certain time, like blocks of time and sit wherever your seats are. And they're going to have you exit. Now think about this. This is an NFL game. Exit like church. One
row
church,
at a
one
time,
pew at
like
a time. Yes.
The communion of the
Can
Dolphins.
you imagine at the end of a game? Can you imagine trying to get an NFL crowd?
So basically, they're not selling beer, is what you're
Well,
saying.
that's what. No, of course. I was literally talking to Lance McAllister about this afternoon, and that's what I said to him. I said, "Well, they're obviously curtailing alcohol sales, as in they're not having any."
Yeah.
But I think that's back to your original question about what's going to happen and what. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
No.
I mean, baseball's talking about a 100-game season, 3 10-team divisions. The Reds would be in the Central. And then you'd have 8 teams in the playoffs, and there's all these, who knows?
Well,
Nobody knows.
At least they're thinking. It's proactive thinking, and I think
Correct.
it would absolutely be a cluster fidge. So I don't think.
See?
See, huh? I don't think it could possibly work the way. I think that would be a one and done strategy. But at least they're thinking about it. But it leads to something else that I wanted to ask you about is even when they do raise the curtain on this. And I saw a interview with a party planner or a wedding planner.
Sheesh.
So, okay, now look at this in stages. Let's say they open up. So a hairdresser, immediately, they're going to be packed. Restaurants, they'll do what they can do with 50% seating, whatever.
Right.
People will probably go out and do that.
Maybe.
But if you are a planner of large events, you have to wait for that curtain to go up.
Correct.
Then you have to wait. To a degree, you're probably making good on some plans that have either been canceled,
Oh, no
although
question.
weddings are probably just converting into online affairs, which has got to be a nightmare.
Horrible.
But then you have to wait for people to be comfortable going out together and have the money to pay for it
Well,
and be in big groups.
See, I just think what you just brought up is the biggest question for me, and I don't think anyone knows the answer. When it does open up, and I'm going with any entertainment, so it could be a restaurant, a bar, ultimately, something it's a gathering like a wedding
Right.
or a party or whatever. Do we honestly know sitting here today, and I know everybody's got that attitude, oh man, this is ridiculous, I'm ready to go, I'm done with this.
No.
But
Everybody talks a good
when
game.
you actually are, depending on how these next couple weeks and months show, will people actually go? We had the statistic, on Thursday night, that 2
Two
out
of five, yeah.
2 of 5 said they would go,
Yeah.
right? 2 out of 5 said they would go to a sporting event by the end of this calendar year. Think about that.
Yeah. Well,
Think
you
about
mentioned you were joking earlier about did I watch axe throwing? I don't know if you saw this. Georgia opened back up.
I did.
Everybody was thrilled to death. The axe throwing conglomerate in
Right.
Georgia decided they were going to open up, and all of a sudden, I see a story this past week, or over the past weekend. This was their first weekend opening up, and they interviewed the owner and said, "How'd it go?" He goes, "The worst idea I've ever had." And I'm thinking, what happened? Did a bunch of people come and then they all got sick or whatever? He goes, 2 customers all weekend.
Yeah.
So that leads to the next question is even if you are open, when will people be ready to go, whether it's that 2 and 5,
I don't think
that'll
anybody
go to a
knows.
sporting event or a concert or whatever, because you can talk all you want. I'm doing
Right,
this and I'm
right,
doing that.
Right.
But will you really get out and do it? Even if you have come to do it, when will you be comfortable doing it? And the first time you go out and somebody goes all over the place, how many people are going to just get their ass kicked?
I think there's one faction that will help, and that is we're going into the summer. Allegedly, it's going to get
Yeah,
warmer.
right, exactly.
But at least there, if you're a restaurant or bar and you can sit outside, I think that people might be more comfortable with that kind of a setting than jammed. You know what I mean?
I get, yeah, if you
At
can,
least
if you
in
can
theory.
spread out a little bit, and that's why we talk about concerts, festivals where you can at least
Right.
spread out. Maybe Riverbend, instead of putting 17,000,
Correct.
maybe they do odds,
But can
section
you
whatever, and then only
imagine-
X number of people. But people are going to gather on the lawn and that sort of thing. Who, again, I don't know, but it goes back to that phobia. You're already a germaphobe. What is it when you're?
Well, but see, I don't know that here's what it comes to for me is this. It's more in the men's restroom. Because there's no other way to
Wait,
say
what?
it. Well, no. Here's where I've arrived at this. Because
Oh, the
you
germ
go in the
thing.
men's restroom and you watch Henry at the urinal. Henry doesn't wash his hands.
Yes.
Well, I'm not touching that door handle on the way out. Henry presumably had to use a little guidance to get it in the urinal. Then he touched. I won't touch.
So what do you get trapped in there? Do you wait? You knock on the door. Can somebody open this from the outside?
I will no. I will get a towel or something. I'll even take a napkin from out in the restaurant or bar in with me
Right.
in case. Because now they go to these damn dryers, which I can't.
No,
stand.
they've said those
those are
air
brutal.
blades,
Well,
those
right.
dryers. They said they're blowing more germs onto you
Right.
than you can even imagine. Now, like when I get gas, I take the paper towel
Yeah.
that you usually
well,
use on your
if there
windshield.
is one.
Yeah, well, and then I use that to grip the handle, and I've always done that because, again, the pigs that may be filling up in front of me, I don't want any part of them, any of their DNA or dead skin on me at all. I'm assuming the filthiest of the filthy have been there right before me. But now, what is it's claustrophobia when you're tight
That's
with a
when
lot
you
of
can't
people.
get tight
So
quarters.
you add the germs phobia to that, and then you get. I'm somewhat claustrophobic. I don't like to be in tight crowds anyway. So some of that's not going to bother me, but
I'm not a big fan of being tight either. Now I would say I'm afraid of heights. I have a phobia. I
to
can't.
what point?
Well, I would tell you I'm more afraid to like I could go up on a roof.
See, I can't.
I wouldn't go to the edge. But I'm more like I went up to in New York City. I went to the Empire State Building. Now there you're so high, and I looked out at such a mass. But I hate to fly. I'll do it. But
See,
I don't
I'm
like that.
I'm the exact
Really?
opposite. I will.
You want to go up on a roof
I will.
or a roof?
I will not get up on a roof
you
because
go up on a
like
roof?
I just on a roof I will a roof maybe a roof I'll get
Pronounce
up on.
it right.
It's roof.
It's your industry.
But and then you get like further up in a building and you're looking out. My
Oh,
ass
see,
tightens up
I
just
won't
like
go.
that.
See, I won't go near.
look out the edge.
See, the fear is like, would you get on a balcony if you were like 20 or 30
well,
stories
the Eiffle
up?
Tower at Kings Island, I'll get out to the edge and I'm like,
Yeah, no.
Once I get up a certain height, I figure there's nothing to be afraid of.
Well, no,
because if
that's-
something happens, I'm done.
Well, see, the Eiffel Tower, I don't like that because when you can see through it, and if you get a feeling of shake, like if there's any kind of feeling like
Yeah,
it
but I
moves
know
a
it's
little
I know
bit.
it's built. I know it's built to do that. There's that out there at the park in Blue Ash, Summit Park.
Oh, I know what
you
you-
can
yeah.
go up that what used to be, I guess, the air traffic control tower.
No.
All the glass railing freaked me out. There's no way. But once I get up in a plane, I'll bet
Well,
it
there's
doesn't
no
matter.
way in hell if I went to St. Louis, the Arc.
You wouldn't do that?
Oh
You
my
wouldn't do
God!
any of
And
that?
a little thing they send you up in a car. Tell you, the Empire State Building, you had to take 2 elevators.
Yeah.
Like you had to get up to one and then I was at that second one. See, I don't like elevators either.
Yeah. Well, I don't like elevators for a number of reasons, and I particularly don't like them with you because I already know what's going to happen between floor 1 and 6 in
Could-
the iHeartMedia building.
Right,
we don't call that studio the
Something
gas
about-
station
I don't
for
know what
nothing.
it is with that elevator.
I know exactly what it is. It's
do?
you.
Really?
I do.
Is
yes.
it time for show and tell?
Not yet. Any other phobias? Anything else you're afraid of?
Um,
We may explore this at a later date at a larger scale. There are two things that just scare the shit out of me.
Well, afraid of. I don't really like snakes or spiders.
Right? Snakes. Spiders don't bother me. Snakes, I
Really?
can't stand snakes. They
But
scare
I,
me
but
to
I,
death.
but I can't really tell you about snakes because I really haven't had. There's been a few in the yard here I've seen, but they're afraid of you.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a python like over the fence. It's like a little garter snake
I
or
don't know.
whatever.
That
those
and
don't-
tornadoes. Tornadoes scare me to death.
See, but I guess for me, tornadoes is kind of like what you said before. I'm not enamored with tornadoes, but I guess I just
Yeah.
figure if one comes, what am I going to do? I just
Well,
go to the basement.
all right, well,
go
we
to
may-
my safe place.
Maybe we'll dig in. Oh, you're safe. So here's a phone number to call if you don't feel safe. That's a whole other topic. And maybe we get into phobias a little bit further because my buddy Frank told me there's 2 that he's afraid of. One is semis on the highway. He'll do anything he can
to get away
to
from.
get away from semis on the
Okay.
highway. And then the other one, conversely, and it's a legitimate fear, phobia, scooters at Kroger. He's afraid that he's going to be standing there, and he said, I'm just picturing myself, somebody not paying attention on one of those scooters at any grocery store or Home Depot or any pick a place. I'm ruining all our sponsorships right now, but
Yeah,
it's the people, not the places. But just somebody not paying attention and rolling up on the back of your heel, blowing your knee out, and that's what. Then the rest of your life you're dealing with that because of that. That's a phobia of his. Legitimately, he won't go into the aisle.
By the way, I'd be remiss. You mentioned that you can get toilet paper now.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Still struggle a little bit for sanitizing and cleaning.
No
products.
Lysol. No
but
Lysol.
now, good luck getting meat.
Chicken. Yeah.
Yep, chicken and beef.
Yeah. Thank God all I eat is frozen chicken anyway. That's probably been around for 5 or 6 years in my freezer.
Might want to check a date.
Boy, speaking of expiration, Andy Dalton. We got it before we get to show and tell. You know what? Good luck to Dalton. We talked about that on Thursday. The Cowboys paid him before they paid Dak Prescott, didn't they? Looks like it.
Yeah, but I mean, Dak Prescott's, if they franchise tag, he's only going to make $30 million. Let's feel
that
awful for him, 30 and change.
That's too bad.
But no, I mean, you knew I was kind of. But I'll tell you what it goes to show you is, if you truly want to win, you need a second. That's the thing. You have to assume what if, and if that occurs, who's going in, and if you don't have a viable backup, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Injuries are that prevalent.
You think he'll be able to make it in Dallas on $7.5 million?
I think he'll get by.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget he went to TCU. He's from that area.
Back
so
home to Texas.
He'll be fine.
So good luck, Andy. Thanks for everything that you
man.
did here. Nice job again, as you mentioned Thursday, to the Bengals for everything they did for him on the way out. You think he has a footprint on his ass?
He may. The
Good
Patriots, the Mike Brown said some nice things about him, just for the record.
Oh,
But
he did?
The Patriots, though, they cannot think they can win with a guy named Jamie Stidham. I mean, honest to God, I know Belichick is a hell of a football coach, but you got to be better than that.
I could care less. I want to watch him struggle for a little while.
Well, I think you're going to see him
That's
struggle.
too
I know,
bad.
it'll crush you.
What
Well,
a-
don't
Oh,
your
you know
team,
what?
Your team may struggle too.
Yeah, trust me. That violin's in my other shorts also.
Is it?
All right.
I've never seen somebody who has different things in different shorts. Don't you clean your pockets out?
I do, but I have, these are like my show shorts, which actually, I didn't
Show
realize
shorts.
this.
Well, I wish
You
they
can-
were longer.
You can kind of see up them, so don't look.
Jesus, trust me.
Look at these calves, too.
No
I
one
got to
is.
be honest with you.
Honest.
The benefit of being so heavy up here is that these calves are massive.
No, those calves are blocked,
Pretty-
and that's why they're so white.
pretty good. Well,
they look
that's-
like a dry erase board.
And we were talking about that one day on the Dawn Patrol. We were talking about our favorite feature of ourselves. And I said, I think my calves are pretty solid. And Fingers goes, they'd have to be.
Right, the whole job.
That was nice. I was like, we were laughing about this. If I zip this up and sit back in the chair, I look like the Grimace from McDonald's. I wore a red shirt down in Atlanta at the station I worked in down there, and I walked in the room, and somebody yelled, "Hey, Kool-Aid!"
Well, at least you're
I'm
good
working
spirit-
on it.
At least you're good spirited.
I'm working on it. Let's do show and tell. You want to? All right.
You got to get. You want me to go while you're getting out of your seat?
No, you go. I'll go first. I'll tell you what it is, and then you can reset the whole show.
Okay.
Talk about Thursday. I have, and this is, I think, maybe my most prized
Yeah,
possession.
and this is pretty cool.
This is a panty dropper, really, as they refer to it. It's a panty dropper. When the ladies find out you got this, this is a big deal. I have a bass signed by Sting
No, that's
from
cool.
the Police.
But it's not what you think.
Oh, is it or isn't it?
All right.
I'll get it.
Please pull your pants up when
yeah.
when you move there. It was
Sorry.
not a good sight. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. Reset.
All right. So here you go. You want? I'm drum
gonna
roll,
wait?
please.
All right.
Here you go.
There it is. Look at that right there. Can you see it?
It's a legitimate base.
I think it's a first base.
First base.
Yeah.
So now, where did you get him to sign this, and what was his reaction
This
when you asked
was,
him?
I believe this was at Riverbend. A mutual friend of ours was going to spend some time with him, and I said, well, I've always wanted to have something signed by Sting. And I said, how about a bass? And they're like, I don't think he does that if it's not his brand. I go, no. And so I gave him this. So since then, I've gotten one signed by Bootsy Collins.
A bass.
And yeah, and my buddy Matt, that's what we're doing, trying to collect them. He tried to get
Gotcha.
one from Geddy Lee, and we have a great picture of the two of us standing at the meet and greet with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson.
He wouldn't sign?
With two, no, he wouldn't. They wouldn't sign anything.
And I'm surprised because he's a big baseball fan.
Huge baseball
I mean,
fan,
huge.
but he wouldn't. We waited till the very end, and they're like, he's probably not going to sign anything, and he didn't. But he's gotten some really good ones since then. Some more of the progressive rock guys
That's okay.
and whatnot. But we're building our
And
bass
I
collection.
won't spoil because you've got some other pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I got some cool stuff.
You do. I do too.
And it's stuff that really means something only to me.
Right.
I mean, this is the kind of thing, if somebody wanted to buy it, I wouldn't sell it.
Right.
And most of the stuff is
Sure.
addressed to me.
Right.
So that's why I asked them to do that. The
Right.
Black Keys are really big about that. They're like, we don't really want to sign anything because
Well,
we don't want you to sell it.
Athletes are the same way because they get all the time. They get people who, and that's the one thing. And people are like, oh, don't have them personalize it. Well, that's the whole purpose of it. It's for me. It's not for somebody else.
Right.
I'm
No.
not going to sell it.
I think it makes perfect sense. Well, and we were talking about Michael Jordan. He didn't even own his signature for a period of time.
Correct.
There was a company that owned it, so he couldn't sign anything. He was not allowed to legally. So what do you got?
Well, this is personal to me too because our company, I created and still operate the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown, the big high school football event that's held each year to kick off the season. And this is a Vikings helmet signed on this side. It'll be hard to see, but it's signed by Kyle Rudolph, who, of course, MVP of the Pro Bowl. And the other side, it says Elder High School 08. He wrote Showdown alum on it. So there you go. Look at that. That's Rudolph on that side, and then the other side's got. And one of the things we've had at one time, we had
It's all backwards.
yeah, it's great. That's okay. They get the point. But
We're working on that part, by the way.
But we've had 20, almost 30 NFL alums, Showdown alums, playing the NFL. Probably the two most notable are Kyle Rudolph and Luke Kuechly, who just recently retired, went to St. Xavier. Of course, Rudolph played at Elder. And he's the one who got it. I don't know whether they'll be able to have it. I hope they do. But in July, it's that Darius Rucker, Bronson Arroyo bands, the opening act. And that's Rudolph because he knows Rucker. And he's a great guy, was a good guy at Elder, played at Notre Dame. So I'm trying to get a lot of the guys. I'm going to talk to Steve Specht of St. Xavier about getting something from Kuechly. But, I mean, there have been a lot of guys. Jordan Hicks, who's still in the NFL. Ryan Kelly, both went to Lakota West. There's a lot of guys like that. Love to have something and have kind of an exhibit of all the guys who have played in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown and now are in the NFL.
Well, for that many years, I mean, that's a pretty impressive lineup.
Oh, yeah.
And it speaks volumes about, the work that you guys have done and the work that these coaches have done. We know that everything's backwards. We're working on that. We thought we had the audio figured out, but this is how we're doing it to get better audio because, honestly, you'd rather hear us than see us to begin with.
Are you
now,
kidding me?
Next time, thanks to our executive producer, Best Boy, Gaffer, Key Grip, Craft Services, what else? What am I missing?
Production.
What's that?
Production.
And production, not even a production assistant, production head, because we would be the assistants and all we
Right.
do
Well, let
is
me tell you, she
sit
was
on our ass.
working on all these different various things today to where I was asking her things and talking to her, and at some point I just looked at one of my sons and went, she's not listening.
She's
to
not
anything I'm
listening, no.
saying."
But she has done a great job. That would be
That would be my
Mrs.
wife's,
Chief
yes.
Lori Gamble.
Yes.
And so we're going to get all of this stuff worked out, but it's been fun. I think
is
probably,
fun.
I've had enough of us. You think
Yeah.
they have?
I guess.
Well, here's what I would tell you. We haven't said it enough, but like and share. Like
Yes,
and
but
share.
we haven't said that
You know,
enough.
we've spent
Correct.
tens of dollars on boosting these posts, and we want this money to go to to solid results. And we would like
Yeah.
for you to like and share, and we'll continue, like I said, to air it out in the open air as long as the weather is permitting. We do have a backup plan, and
do.
we plan to do it again, like I mentioned, every Monday until we run out of Mondays.
And don't forget, check us out on Thursday nights, 9 to midnight. It's the Reality Check on News Radio 700 WLW. And if you or somebody else wants to be part of the program, wants to join in, we'd love your feedback. And more so, we'd love you as an advertiser sponsor. We're going to have a lot of opportunities to do so.
Yeah, reach out, absolutely.
Yep.
In fact, if you own a clothing store and you have some pants that are a little bigger, I lost a little bit of weight, and I threw these shorts on Fred thinking that I would fit into them, and I'm numb from the waist down. So I think we have to go so that I can go to the hospital.
So does that mean you've gained the weight back?
I think I did while we were sitting here. It's a stupid drink. Is this the regular or is this
It's
the
regular.
diet? Oh, I should have been drinking the diet. I am numb from the waist down. All right, it's a good
I
place
am
to end.
sick.
We'll see you next
Time to
Monday,
go.
or
See
you'll
ya.
see us.
Bye.
See ya.